Slightly unpopular opinion, but I don't believe all jollof needs to taste like party jollof or smoky jollof. Sometimes you just need a classic plate of jollof rice that feels like a good home cooked meal. And sometimes you also need a spin on it, which is why I love making coconut jollof rice. Now, this is one that my aunt taught me several years ago, and I've adapted and tweaked the recipe into something I love and enjoy today. And every single time I cook it, it's a hit. So buckle up. I'm going to teach you everything I do to make sure this turns out delicious. Let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Love Marby, where we talk about all things home, heart, and hosting. I'm Michelle Marby Davies, and today we are focusing on the hosting part of things because this coconut jollof rice recipe is the perfect addition to your next dinner party, or it could be a great weeknight meal if you just want to switch things up. Jollof is one of those beloved recipes, and there's so many ways to do it, but I love this twist of adding a coconut flavor to it. Now, I'm showing you the ingredients that I use for my base. I don't use any tin products, so I use a fresh onion. Well, I use two typically, and then I also use bell peppers, but I prefer the long bell peppers that you saw, so Romano red peppers. And then I'm also using fresh tomatoes on the vine, as well as plum tomatoes, and then some garlic, one Scotch bonnet. I don't believe in using too many Scotch bonnets in your stew. And then I also use these tomatoes on the vine. I love tomatoes on the vine. You have to make sure you're ideally not using salad tomatoes. In the supermarkets here, they call it salad tomatoes that you can use. And I find it just doesn't have enough juiciness. But either way, I use the fresh ingredients and I love the way it turns out. Now, I'm going to show you the tricks to make it work. But one of the main things is making sure you de-seed your bell peppers. So you saw the before and the after of those bell peppers. I just make sure I take out all the seeds because that can add a really bitter taste to your stew. If you're finding your stew kind of has a bitter taste to it, you want to make sure you're taking out those seeds. I love to have a bit of organization when I'm cooking. So I will typically always do this. I will chop up all my ingredients that I'm going to add to my stew base, and then I will put them in a bowl, and I will have another bowl for when I blend them up and I pour them into it. I really, really appreciate when my kitchen looks organized when I'm cooking. But yeah, I know there's many different ways of making jollof rice, and some people prefer to use tin tomatoes and jerika. And I guess the rule of thumb with that is to make sure you really cook it down or fry it down so you get rid of that acidic taste. But I just like to make stew without it. My mum made stew this way, and my dad makes stew with tin tomatoes, but this is my preferred way of doing it. I just prefer the taste. You can use the roasted method where you roast all of the bell peppers, tomatoes, and onions, but here I just prefer to actually do it in the pot, and the goal is to fry it down, and I will show you kind of my process for that. I don't use ginger. I love using fresh garlic, fresh Scotch bonnet, so I add that to it. I use one. This recipe is for about 6 cups of rice, and I use probably about 6 tomatoes, 6 bell peppers. If I want a slightly sweeter taste, sometimes I'll use maybe 8 bell peppers, so more bell peppers than tomatoes. And that's about it. I use the plum tomatoes as well because, again, it reminds me of the tomatoes I used to see in Nigeria. Now, I added everything to the blender without any water. Again, I don't like reducing the thickness of my sauce, and you can see how thick it is. I feel like the ingredients already have water in them. They have water that they will release through the cooking process. So it's kind of like when I boil meat, I don't want to add too much water because, yeah, I just prefer the richness of the taste when I don't do that. So literally, you saw there was no water because my blender can handle it. This is the Vitamix. I think it's the Ascent series. I can't remember which one specifically this is. And that's it. I just let it blend. Now, if your blender can't handle that, put in your tomatoes first, blend those at the bottom, and then add the rest of the ingredients. But generally, when it comes to blending things, you want to put the things at the bottom of the blender that will be easiest to blend, the things that will get the blender moving quickly. You don't ideally want to put your onions or your bell peppers if your blender is going to struggle. That's a good way to make sure you don't need to add water. You can blend the tomatoes and use that as the base to kind of get things going. Then I go in with some canola oil or vegetable oil. You can use extra virgin olive oil if you prefer, and then I wait for it to get really hot, and then I add in the mixture. Now, the thing you need to bear in mind about jollof rice, especially if you've never made it before, is that baby is going to splash everywhere. When I'm normally making this next to my backsplash, it's just splashes everywhere, so you just have to be prepared for that. I rinse out some of the mixture that's left in the blender. The Nigerian in me can't help but to just, yeah, use some water to get rid of some of that. Then I typically, if I can, I'll leave the pot open, but I just left the lid at an angle just to allow it to not steam but kind of semi-fry, and that was it. The goal here is to reduce this as much as possible. Halfway through the reduction process, I've gone in with some parsley, thyme. I don't use fresh ingredients for this because I feel like, yeah, I don't need to, but yeah, parsley, thyme. I use mixed herbs, and then I use curry powder. You want to make sure it's mild curry powder, and ideally not hot and not too much of it, because if you add too much curry powder, it's going to change the flavor profile of your stew base. And that is literally all I use. Again, some people prefer the taste of ginger. You can add that to it. Then I add some chicken bouillon powder. Sometimes I will add a stock pot, like the one that's like a gel kind of texture. I add that to it, but in this case I didn't. And the goal here for me when I'm tasting my sauce is I want to make sure it feels like it's slightly over, as in taste wise. I want it to taste as if it's slightly too salty, because I know once I add the rice it will be perfect, right? So when it comes to this, I mean, if you prefer, you can play it on the safe side and then add just the right amount towards the end. But I find if the stew is just the right amount of saltiness or just over, I know I'm going to end up with a good end product. Like the rice won't dilute it totally. You can see how much it's reduced. As it's reduced, probably after about 20 minutes, I go in with a can of coconut milk. I use 2 cans of coconut milk because my goal is not to use any water in this cooking process. Sometimes I do need to add water towards the end, but ideally I don't. If I want to sometimes and I want the taste of the coconut to be really strong, I will do 1 can of coconut milk, not light coconut milk, normal, and then coconut cream. Not creamed coconut, but coconut cream. Comes in a little carton that looks like creamed coconut, but isn't. The thing with your rice is you want to make sure you have washed the rice in hot water. I use Sela rice, so it's parboiled Sela rice. I think it's like, it feels like you're eating basmati rice, but without the complication of cooking basmati rice. You wash it in hot water until it runs extremely clear. Like that water needs to be clear, because that will also help with speeding up the cooking process. And you can see when I was adding it into the pot, the rice basically almost looked like it was cooked, but that is it. You can see my goal is to make sure that the amount of rice that I have isn't equal to the amount of liquid that I have. So for my stew base, I want it to be more stew than rice, because that rice ideally in the cooking process is going to soak up all of that liquid. So it will be flavorful rice, not rice that was kind of like tossed in a sauce. That's what you don't want. So you can see it's probably been about 10 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes at this point, and it's taken in some of that liquid because it's reduced, right? And you want to keep things on medium heat. And jollof rice is one of those ones where you're going to have to learn to leave it alone in intervals. You don't want to play with it too much. This pot, when I use it, because it's not a satin enamel finish inside, it catches a little bit. And some people like that catching at the bottom because they like the burnt flavor. I don't. So I try to keep it on a lower heat. Then I use greaseproof paper because I didn't have foil paper. I use greaseproof paper to act as a barrier at the top of the pot so that steam is able to do most of the work. You can see at this point, this is what it looks like. It's drying out. It doesn't look like party jollof, like with the separate granules, and people really love that. But later on, as it dries out, the light changed a bit later, but later on as it dries out, the granules, or the grains, sorry, separate a bit more. But this is what it looks like. And if you find that when you're tasting it as you're going along, there's not enough saltiness, you want to add it before, you want to add any salt or seasoning that you still need to add before it really dries out, because I find it's harder for the flavor to really catch on when there's not much liquid or moisture in the pot. But that is literally it. It's so simple, and you end up with this beautiful pot of jollof that feels like something people haven't really experienced before. The coconut flavor on it isn't intense, but if the people around you really like coconut, then you could add some desiccated coconut to the mix. But that is it. I turned the heat off and I left the greaseproof paper on, and this is what it looked like when the steam just worked for about an hour or 2 after I had cooked it. It's such a delicious dish, and I really do hope you get to try it. I'll see you later. Bye.